Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Later in our program, everything you need to know about hernias. First tonight, big changes for that official piece of government identification that most of us carry with us at all times. Joining us now is Christine Nizer, MVA Administrator. Christine, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So people have heard it's a redesign of the Maryland driver's license, and it looks very nice, but what are you doing about making my picture look better?
Well, that's a common question we get all the time. Last time we designed the license was in 2003, so security has come a long way since then, and we're really excited about this new secure product, which will help protect the identity of our customers and also displays many Maryland icons so people can proudly show whether it's the crab or the State House or the Oriole bird.
Is there one main driver, so to speak, for making this change?
The reality is the driver's license has become the identification card of choice, and we know that fraudulent licenses are something that's clearly sought after. And so we needed to make it more secure. We know identity theft is a major concern for Maryland residents, and we want to have a product that they can be proud of and know their identity is being protected.
All right, let's talk about the features on this thing. So there's a state flag motif. You see the picture of the driver in two places. And the cool thing you can't see on the screen on the still shot is, but the second one's kind of almost a hologram.
That's right. It changes when you move it. It's the picture and then the date of birth. The interesting thing about these cards are actually laser engraved. Most printing is on the top surface of a piece of paper or a material. This is engraved into the body of the card itself, making it very difficult to change any of the features of the card or any of what the identity features say.
Yeah, and it's hard to see that in a two-dimensional TV screen also, but if you just rub your finger across it, you can feel the raised lettering, and it's going to be hard for some kid in a dorm room or even an organized crime situation to duplicate this.
Yes, we've seen all kinds of fraudulent licenses, from those that don't look anything like what we currently issue to frankly very sophisticated products that could pass even a law enforcement test. So it was really important to make sure we redesigned them in a way that was high-tech and would meet the standards of today to be as secure as possible.
What are the barcodes on the back? The current license has it and the new license has it.
Right. So the barcode gives personal identifiable information that's on the surface of the card. This allows law enforcement quick access and to know, to ensure that the card really was issued to the individual that's presenting it.
You know, I rented a car, and at the rental car kiosk, it wasn't a human being, but you had to put the license in so that it could read that, and it's getting your name and date of birth and so forth.
That's right. It's actually a national standard, and so Maryland's complying with that national standard, and that allows entities to read the barcode and make sure that what they're seeing on the front is actually what's accurate in terms of the barcode.
The real big difference in terms of how people interface with the MVA on this is that when you sit there, you get the bad picture taken, and then a minute later the license pops out behind the counter. That's not going to happen anymore.
That's right. Well, we certainly hope it's a good picture, but yes, the change in process is that it will be centrally printed from a secure MVA facility to the customer, and as a result, we want to remind customers to please make sure their address is up to date with us to make sure they get it timely in the mail. 7 to 10 business days is what we're estimating, and so again, it's another secure way to deliver it, making sure all the materials and products are done in one place.
Is it because all of the security features in here can't be done at the local MVA office, or is it a cost savings decision?
These are very high-tech printers that print the card. When you talk about laser engraving and the type of features that are on the card, so yes, that's why it's done at a centralized facility so we can bring that additional security.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for the MVA administrator, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen, or please tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPT News. So what happens if your current driver's license is about to expire? You're about to take a trip. You remember, I need a new one. You go to the MVA, and we're going to mail it to you, and you're going to get it next week. What do you do?
So the good news is that you'll actually leave with your expired license along with a receipt. We recommend that the customer keep that expired license and the receipt with them while they're driving. We've also checked with TSA, and TSA will accept the expired license along with that receipt, so there's no issue in terms of traveling with that license. We do have a service that we offer through the U.S. Postal Service. If they want an expedited license, they can attain that as well.
Probably don't wait till the last day.
Certainly recommend folks come early.
Right.
You can actually renew your license up to 6 months in advance, so certainly planning early is a great idea.
Let's talk to Richard in Prince George's County. Richard, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I have a question about Maryland State inspection on a car I recently bought, and it flunked. I bought it in Virginia, but it had to pass in Maryland, and it flunked the windshield wiper test. Now, I'm disputing that with my mechanic, and I wonder, can the MVA look at it if I take it over to the local place and maybe override the mechanic?
Richard, before we get you an answer, what's the wiper test, and what didn't the car do?
Well, I'm not entirely clear about it, but I think he just squirted from the windshield reservoir and then ran the wipers, and if there was any streaking or any spot that was missed, they failed it. And I think that's what they're claiming happened. Although I drove it in the rain last week, all during the week it was raining, and I had no problem.
Thank you for the phone call. Your advice?
Well, Maryland State Police actually regulate our certified inspection stations in the state of Maryland, but certainly if Richard wants to get in touch with us, we'll get him in touch with the right people at Maryland State Police and see if we can resolve the concern for him.
Back to licenses. What is the deal with pictures? It used to be that you got a new one with every license, every 5 years or whatever, and that's not the case anymore.
So your license are now good up to 8 years. They used to be only good for 5 years. You are allowed to renew through alternative means every other renewal cycle, so that's by mail or by internet. And we use the old photo that we have on file when you do that.
So does that mean you could be stuck with the same bad picture for 16 years? Did I hear that right?
It could be 16 years. You'd be surprised how many people want to keep their photo, though.
Well,
so we get that question as well.
Yeah,
so
I wish I had my
ways.
15-year-old photo back sometimes.
Goes both ways.
But you can't for a passport. You can send in your own picture. Can't do that for anybody's driver's license.
Not yet
I
at
don't
this
think.
point, because they meet very specific standards, and so that's why we have to take the photo ourselves.
Let's take another call. Baltimore City. This is Ed. Ed, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, my driver's license includes a Soundex number, but it also includes my birth date. Social Security numbers have been hacked. If you're allowing electronic dissemination of information on my ID, then when people put the two together, they can get everything I have, all my accounts and everything.
Understand, Ed, but who's allowing electronic dissemination of it?
Well, when you hand it over, you just said that there are automatic systems that are taking your license.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you very much. Yeah, but I guess that's the case if you hand it to anybody. And there's the other issue of the Soundex number not being terribly secure, if that matters.
So just to be clear, right, you're handing your license to somebody, they see all the personal identifiable information. In terms of our actual records, which have things like your Social Security number, there are only certain individuals and entities under law that have access to that data. We certainly take data security very seriously, and we would never allow anyone that doesn't have access, like law enforcement, like other government entities, to have access to that kind of personal information.
Let's take another call. Prince George's County, this is Jack. Jack, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, I have unfortunately in the past lost my license, and if I go in, I was able to get one the same day and walk out to drive. Now what happens?
Good question. Thank you.
That's a great question. So you can actually get a duplicate license now online without actually going into an MBA branch office. And that license will be mailed to you.
Unless you pay the extra $15.
Exactly. And so effective July 11th, for all processes, we'll be going to central issuance and mailing of those licenses.
So
but again, you will get the receipt. Which documents that you have a valid product, and law enforcement is aware of that updated information.
Okay, I have to ask, this is totally unrelated to driver's licenses, although maybe when you get your first driver's license, back in the day, you used to be able to have to parallel park. At least once successfully, you had to parallel park to get the license, and that's not the case anymore.
No, it's not a requirement. We actually now take the driver on the road. The Motor Vehicle Administration had stopped doing that for a while, and when we looked at the national standards, we realized that most jurisdictions were doing that. So we now go on the road for the driving test. We require some maneuvers on course before you take your road test, but parallel parking is not one of them.
I'll have to pay attention to see if we notice any degradation in the ability of people to parallel park, which would be hard to notice, actually.
Right. There are many things. We still teach parallel parking in driver education, so it's something that will still be learned by our new drivers. It's just not something we test anymore.
Let's fit in one more call. Harford County, this is Laurie. Laurie, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Lori, and my spouse is up at Perry Point in long-term care. She would like to have her new address from Aberdeen put on her Maryland ID card. Where do we go to get that done, and is there any other way to have to take her there to get it done, to get her picture taken?
Laurie, thank you very much.
So if she already has a Maryland product, she can go right on our website, which is www.mva.maryland.gov, and change her address there. It sounds like she might not have a current process. We actually have a ability to work with individuals who physically cannot come to our branch offices. So again, if she can either reach out to me directly or our customer care center, and we will take care of that to get it.
Well, it was nice of you to take questions from viewers tonight, but you take questions online via Twitter periodically?
We do. We do a regular interaction with our customers. We certainly want to hear feedback, and that's something we do now through social media as well as traditional means of letters and emails.
Probably get some complaints in there, but maybe some ideas too.
Sometimes, and every customer that contacts me, I tell them that this is an opportunity for us to get better, to do what we do in a better way, and if they hadn't let us know what went wrong, then we can't make it better.
Christine Neiser is administrator of the Maryland MVA. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Just ahead tonight, new treatments for hernias. We'll be right back.
We'd reach out to each of you personally, if that were possible, to encourage you to tune in for the single most important TV documentary ever produced by MPT. For 3 nights, beginning Tuesday, May 24th, we'll air Maryland Vietnam War Stories, a labor of love for everyone here at MPT. It's come together thanks to 250 men and women who shared their Vietnam stories with us, who told us of their service and their lives before, during, and after the war. They've given us history, perspective, insights, and many reasons to thank and salute all those who served. In all, we taped 120 hours of interviews and crafted them into a moving and memorable 3-hour film. Please tune in on May 24th, 25th, and 26th for Maryland Vietnam War Stories. We thought you ought to know.
Tonight on MPT.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow, which treasures from Grandma have more than sentimental value?
I was moving into a home and I had a nice mantle, and she said, you need a clock to put on that mantle, so she gave me this.
I came by it from my grandmother when she had passed. I just latched onto it, I guess.
Grandmother passed away in 1998, so I took over the house.
Find out next time on Antiques Roadshow from Cleveland, Ohio.
Tonight at 8 on MPT. Next time on the Dr. Blake Mysteries.
Someone walked into the family home and shot them.
3 people are found dead.
They were wealthy, weren't they?
Jean's son turns up.
Matty, this is Jack.
I thought we could have a bit of fun.
And becomes a suspect in the murders.
I'm just taking away Jack Beasley's alibi.
You think he killed that family?
And Blake's new boss will make the case even tougher.
You don't ask questions till I say you can.
The Dr. Blake Mysteries. Tonight at 10 on MPT.
For this week's Your Health segment, we're joined by Dr. Stephen Kavik, surgeon at the University of Maryland Medical Center and associate professor of surgery at the University of Maryland School of Medicine. Doctor, thanks for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about hernias. There are different types of hernias?
Yes, hernias are very common. And hernias are really basically a hole in the strong connective tissue layer that keeps us together. And so a structure can pass into a space that it doesn't normally occupy. They can occur all over the body.
You hear sometimes about a sports hernia. What's that?
So a sports hernia is a tear in the ligaments or the strong connective tissues around the inguinal canal or around the region of the groin that tend to occur in young athletes.
You hear about the term, you'll say it better than I, inguinal?
Yes, approximately 1 out of 5 men will develop a groin hernia throughout the course of his lifetime. The groin hernias are called inguinal hernias, sometimes less commonly femoral. And those are incredibly common, but ones that we can treat with both laparoscopic as well as traditional surgery techniques.
Inguinal.
Inguinal.
Is there a type of hernia that's more serious than others?
Well, they all can be potentially serious. Hernias that occur around the belly button, umbilical hernias, can have a high risk of incarceration or having a loop of small bowel that gets stuck in them. We worry about the inguinal hernia also being as a point of incarceration, but there really is no safe hernia that you'd rather have.
Do people know if they've got one of these or have one brewing?
Most commonly, the hernia presents as an external bulge. It's a lump that you can see. And so when that develops, people tend to go to their regular medical doctor or surgeon where they can be identified as having a hernia.
But do you ever see somebody who's been walking around with one for too long and it's become more complicated?
Absolutely. So a lot of times hernias start out very small with minimal symptoms, and as they enlarge over time, they become more debilitating to the patient.
How do you prevent them?
There's really no great answer to that aside from minimizing abdominal strain. So we encourage people to live healthy, active lifestyles, to avoid heavy lifting, moving the furniture, that sort of heavy exercise, and to avoid constipation as well, as that can build up internal pressure.
In that scenario, the heavy lifting scenario or the constipation pressure scenario, do people report feeling something pop, or is it more subtle than that?
It's a very common mechanism where people say that they felt something give or pop and then had a bulge that was reducible or could be pressed back into place.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about hernias, give us a call. The number's up on the screen. You could also tweet your questions. The Twitter address is @MPTNews. So you're a surgeon. You can fix them. How do you do that?
Well, at the University of Maryland, we specialize in fixing hernias by minimally invasive techniques, or what goes by the name of laparoscopy. Under a traditional repair, we make an incision on the outside, push the hernia contents back where they belong, and then close the defect with either stitches or with a reinforcing mesh. With minimally invasive techniques, we use a small camera, about the size of a ballpoint pen, to come in through the belly button, where we can then use other puncture wounds to reduce from the inside or to pull the hernia back where it belongs. It's actually pretty neat. We can roll up a mesh like a cigarette and introduce it through a small puncture wound, so we can get a very large mesh without having to make a very large incision.
From the surgeon's perspective, was it easier, faster the old way? Maybe a little more difficult for the patient? It sounds like the laparoscopic approach is maybe more complex, more challenging from the surgeon's perspective, but better for the patient.
It absolutely requires more technology. It requires the cameras and the fine instrumentation, but patients feel better quicker, and that's worthwhile.
What's the recovery time like?
Generally speaking, we do hernias as same-day surgery, that patients come in, have their procedure done, and go home the same day. But we really want the repair to heal. And so whether that's with sutures or with mesh, we want people to give about 2 weeks before they get back to any sort of serious activity, and preferably 4.
Do these tend to recur? If somebody has one at one site, is it likely to pop again, or is that person predisposed to maybe having it happen again nearby?
Well, we do think of some people as hernia formers that may develop multiple hernias, particularly men in the groin. If they develop a hernia on one side, they're likely to develop it at another.
We've talked about men a lot here. Do men get hernias more than women?
In terms of the groin, yes. So the men have a spermatic cord that goes through the abdominal wall. So there's a natural opening or a natural point of weakness where hernias may develop. So men are statistically much more likely to develop a hernia in the groin than women.
So much of medicine is high-tech imaging these days. When a patient comes in with a hernia, do you need any of that, or can you sort of feel what's going on and be sure about it?
Well, there's a lot of different types of hernias that we haven't talked about, such as internal hernias, hiatal hernias that occur at the junction of the chest and the belly. Also, they go by the names of paraesophageal hernias or diaphragmatic hernias. Those are impossible to detect on clinical exam under normal circumstances. But for umbilical hernias, those at the belly button, and those in the groin, the single best test is a physical exam by an experienced examiner.
Let's grab a phone call. Carroll County, this is Larry. Larry, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Well, hi. My question is, are hernias inheritable? My grandfather had one and my dad had one. Am I liable to get one? I'm 70 years old.
And you're doing well so far?
As far as I know, yeah.
Larry, thanks very much.
Well, a lot of people tend to be similar size and shape as their parents or their grandparents, and some of the structural defects that are present in hernias are present in all of us who walk upright. So it's not specifically inheritable, but they do tend to follow families.
Is there anything to avoid? Is there any particular sports activity? You mentioned heavy lifting. Anything else that people unknowingly are hurting themselves and causing these problems?
I think that the most common problem is when people start to age and they continue to lift some heavy objects, perhaps do some work around the house, and they don't really consider that to be beyond their abilities, but it can become overwhelming over time.
I read there's a link to smoking. Is that a thing?
Absolutely. Smoking does a lot of bad things to your health. In particular, it helps the small blood vessels to clamp down, and that can interfere with the ability of the connective tissue to hold its integrity or to heal after a hernia repair.
Let's take a call. Sussex County, Delaware. This is Sharon. Sharon, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm calling about your program here.
Yeah.
I have a history of hernias. I had a hiatal hernia in 2001, and I had surgery on it. Now I have developed umbilical hernia. Is that all related?
Great question. Hope you feel better. Thank you.
Well, it may be related, and it also may be independent. Umbilical hernias, or hernias at the belly button, tend to be very common in women, particularly during pregnancy when the intra-abdominal pressure builds up. So it may be something that developed earlier in your life and then just became evident more recently, or it may be something related to your previous operation.
Any issues with insurance related to hernias, hernia repairs?
No, hernias cause a tremendous amount of lost work, lost wages, and insurance companies believe in the hernia as a general surgery equivalent of primary care. So we're anxious to get people back to work and into good health.
Let's grab one more phone call from Baltimore County. This is Paul. Paul, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hi. My question is, I had a hernia about 4 years ago. It was operated on laparoscopy, and I'm a bit overweight. Am I more susceptible to having a hernia reoccur?
Great question. Thank you.
With any increase in strain on the abdominal wall, you may be at increased risk of developing a hernia, which includes a large weight gain. So I would encourage you to try to get some of the weight off to minimize your chance of developing another hernia.
Is there anything that you can't do laparoscopically yet that you would like to, that you anticipate being able to, or any of these procedures that you think might be improved upon in the future?
Well, some hernias are very well suited for laparoscopy. For instance, if you have bilateral hernias or hernias in both groins at the same time, it's easier to fix laparoscopically than through traditional open techniques. But a very large hernia, a very complex recurrent hernia, may still be best served by traditional techniques.
You know, after talking to you, I'm not lifting anything ever again. But that's probably not the right solution here.
I think light weights are a good aerobic exercise.
And in terms of, you can certainly strengthen muscles. Can you strengthen the connective tissues that turn into the problems here?
A little bit more difficult to address, but certainly by avoiding some toxic medications, taking vitamins perhaps may be of some use, but overall abdominal wall conditioning seems to be the best.
Dr. Stephen Kavik, surgeon with the University of Maryland Medical Center and with the University of Maryland School of Medicine. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, what business owners and consumers can do to keep hackers from getting into their personal accounts. And join us Friday for State Circle and the latest on Maryland politics. Now, for all of us at MPT, I'm Jeff Salkin. Thanks for watching and have a good night.
Your health segments are a co-production of Maryland Public Television and the University of Maryland Medical System.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.